Hey there, Dr. Beth Westie here, and I wanted to talk about how to test for inflammation in your system. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and I know a lot of people will go ahead and get a blood test. You can get something done with your blood where they look at something called your CRP, C-reactive protein, and that can pop up if you have horrific inflammation levels. That can pop up and be really high. You can also have your ESR levels tested, your erythrocyte sedimentation rate tested, again, in your blood, super high, then that can indicate that there is systemic inflammation in your body. Inflammation, when we talk about the problem with it, is it can really interrupt how well your body functions normally. It can interrupt how well you process and absorb nutrients, how well you detox on your own, how well everything is going to fire, function, repair, do the things that they're supposed to do. So when we're looking at inflammation and you're thinking, gosh, I don't know, am I inflamed? Well, do you feel puffy? Like, does your face look puffy? Do you feel like you retain water in your legs or feet? Do you feel like your muscles and joints ache? Or do you feel like, my hands are just stiff? You know, like sometimes they're fine, but sometimes I wake up and I'm stiff. I just don't feel right. And then if you take a hot shower, does it feel better? An Epsom salt bath, that helps. Using a sauna or dry brushing. Oh wow, my body feels better. That's a huge indicator that you have inflammation, my friend. Because all of those things help move your lymph, which helps move that inflammation through your system. Fun thing about lymph is that if it doesn't move unless you move it. You have to physically move your lymph somehow. So there's a lot of different methods that we talk about with to do that in your body and system. But some of the other markers to see on a Dutch test that can indicate inflammation are a bit more sensitive than a CRP or an ESR. Why would I talk about some of these other things if there's blood tests for that? Well, and I say this because I've had my blood tested and I have some inflammatory reactions. I had an ESR rate that was like just outside of range when I had my blood taken, and this was when I was dealing with mold issues, and it was high. It was high. It was above the range, but it was like, ooh, just a skosh outside, just a touch, just a smidge. And I remember showing it to my primary because I had my labs drawn privately because she didn't want to draw the labs. So I had it done myself. So I showed her my labs and I was like, look at this. I have all these things. Now I also had an elevated D dimer and some other things that were indicative of blood issues too. And she was like, oh yeah, that ESR is high, huh? Okay. And I was like, yeah, should we run any more tests? Any more allergens? And she did not see the need. So what did I do? Of course, I went and got my own labs run because I know that it's important to understand what inflammation I have going on and where to target. So things on the Dutch test that test for inflammation specifically and that relate to inflammatory reactions in your body. There's two of them we see at the Dutch test right now. One is the conversion of DHEA to DHEAS. If this conversion does not match, inflammation is the number one thing that gets in the way of it, of that conversion. Meaning, whatever level of DHEA you have, and this is the precursor for all your other androgens and things like that, it should match the DHEAS. This just stands for sulfate. It's just a, like, one boop, one step removed, one little process over, you know, you're here and then you go here. Oh, I'm regular DHEA. Oh, I'm DHEAS. Oh, look at that. So it should match. Those levels should be the same. They should be correlated. When they are not, why wouldn't they be correlated? Inflammation. That's the big key thing that can get in the way. Yeah. So that's why it's important that we look at this systemic inflammation. And if this is a problem, that tells me your body's not absorbing nutrients that can. And 99% of the time, I will see nutrient level issues. Like your body's not getting enough nutrients, not because you're not eating correctly, but because your body can't absorb it, right? And I will see other conversion issues. I will see other detoxification issues. Now, here's the thing too when we look at this, the inflammation versus detoxification ability, chicken or egg. It almost doesn't matter when we get started. We have to work on both. In fact, I went through 2 different tests today with people where I saw both inflammation, major inflammation issues, and major indicators that their body is not detoxing. We have to start with both. And I know that if we can take that inflammation down, the body's going to have a better ability naturally to detox. And the detox assistance that we get it's going to happen better. So it's really important that you're not ignoring this, or this is not being passed over. The other thing that the Dutch test tests for is a neuroinflammation marker, a specific neuroinflammation marker. Now this tests for inflammation that would be in your brain. Why would they put in a marker for the brain? That sounds really intense. Yeah, because a lot of the origin of hormone direction comes from your brain. Your brain tells everything what to do, right? This is the computer, the hub, and then it sends out those signals to everywhere else in the body. And if you are having inflammation, and this can be from maybe you're exposed to a toxin, maybe you've lived in mold and have not detoxed mold out of your body. Maybe you've been exposed to certain chemicals, right? Certain, toxic chemicals in the environment. And I had somebody who her work did a big renovation, and the chemicals that they used in the renovation for the materials, really cheap, icky stuff, had a lot of off-gassing of materials. Seriously, she went to work and had moved her desk into the new renovated area, and she was getting migraines, and she was feeling physically sick every day, couldn't understand it, and we were talking about it. And I was like, you can't work there. You have to move back to the old area. And she actually went as far as asking the renovation company the ingredients in their products, the carpet, the glue that they used, what they built the furniture out of, and you would not believe the toxic chemicals that were in this materials. It was, right, caused neuroinflammation. Absolutely, 100%. So those are important things. Now you can also have it be from, Lyme disease is another one that I've come across. People will have elevated neuroinflammation markers, but also realize that if you have elevated neuroinflammation here, that means that your body is exposed to and holding on to toxicity, and we need to target it. And we need, from the brain. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Oh my gosh, that's a big deal. So when we talk about these things and talk about testing for inflammation, and again, I'm Dr. Beth Westie, women's health and hormone expert, author of the books, The Female Fat Solution and The Female Menopause Solution, host of the podcast, The Female Health Solution. I want to make sure that you are getting all the right tools to really take control of your health, and Dutch testing is one of the ways that we do that. So you can go below this video, click the link to get a Dutch test that gets sent right to your house. You take the test, you send it to the lab, not to me, send it to the lab. And then the lab processes your test, and we go over it to make sure we give you the right recommendations moving forward. That way you're not guessing, you're not wondering, you're like, oh, I don't feel good, or I don't feel right, or sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't. What's going on? We find out what's going on with the Dutch test. So I can't wait to see your results. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can always leave a comment below this video or reach out to me if you don't feel comfortable commenting. Otherwise, I can't wait to see your results and chat soon.